Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we're heading up to Hockey Towners. We're taking a look today at the Detroit Red Wings and the latest on their captain, Dylan Larkin. So this is kind of a controversial topic because the second I bring up Dylan Larkin trade rumors, people either are way too excited at that prospect or they're way too, how dare you even consider trading a former Michigan Wolverine from Michigan, the captain, and letting him get traded, right? But then there's also like the camp. Like I said, it's one of two spectrums. People either really love Dylan Larkin in Detroit or they really hate him, which I think is kind of funny. And that's why we're going to talk about him today, because I'm going to piss off Red Wings fans, and I'm also going to appease some of the other ones out there. So I thought that was very interesting. I wanted to start that off because my last video I talked about this. I wanted to see what was the pulse on the Red Wings fan base on Larkin, and a lot of you, like I said, it was very divided. And when you look at Dylan Larkin's numbers in the National Hockey League, it does kind of make sense. So you look at Dylan Larkin. His first season, he put up 45 points in 80 games. Very good as a rookie. His highest production year in the sense of actual points over an 82-game schedule, he had 73 points in 76 games in the 2018-19 season. But he's also had a 63-point season, 53 points. Like, he's done fairly well. Now, again, the last 3, really even 4 years, 4 years, has been kind of skewed because of COVID and the non-82 game schedule route. But if you look at his points per game compared to his career, that's kind of interesting. Now, again, it's not the best metric because especially those first 2 seasons, that was a very bad Red Wings team, and he wasn't playing all that much then. So when you look at last year, he had 69 points in 71 games. So basically a point per game player. What I'm struggling with Larkin here is they're talking about contracts, right? He's a pending unrestricted free agent next summer. Now you'd think he'd want to stay in Detroit, right? He grew up in Detroit. He's from Detroit, grew up a Red Wings fan, played at the University of Michigan. This is a Michigander at its finest, right? Someone that kids can look up to there in Detroit. So, at 26 years old, going into his prime of his career, what is Dylan Larkin looking for? Now, this is from Anzar Khan. He said it wouldn't be a surprise if Dylan Larkin's camp was looking for more than $9 million per season. So, a guy that has not technically hit the point per game mark yet in his NHL career. I know he was very close this past season. But with that said, is he worth $9.5 million or more than that on a long-term deal? So that's kind of where things get a little bit shaky, right? Because I'd like to think Steve Yzerman, a lot of his press conference, he wanted to get anything done with Larkin as soon as possible, right? He was saying even before the draft, he's like, we will worry about that when it's time, but we will try and get that hammered out as soon as possible. And the fact that it hasn't gotten hammered out yet does make you kind of wonder what's going on behind the scenes. And we know Steve Yzerman likes to sign his guys July 1st or whatever, the first day of free agency the year prior. A guy like Larkin, you would think, fits into that category. Now, their cap space next season, definitely they have the room. They're going to have over $41 million in cap space. So that's the good news, right? If that's the one guy they want to sign, they could give him $41 million, and Larkin will be there for the next 8 years. But realistically, I think they're going to try and find a happy middle ground. And that's where things get interesting, right? So the good news is the Red Wings don't necessarily have a big contract, right? The second highest paid player other than Larkin at his $6.1 million deal per year is Andrew Kopp, who just signed and is making $5.625. So Dylan Larkin will easily be the highest paid player on the Red Wings next season if he does re-sign. So then it makes you wonder, well, why is he asking for 9.5 plus? Probably, right? So you have to remember that the NHL just announced that the salary cap is going to increase a lot next season. I think 2025. So a couple years from now. Okay, maybe not next year. A couple years from now. In 2025, the NHL salary cap could go up dramatically. So if Dylan Larkin, 3 years out from that, kind of gets the big ticket, and as that big new contract comes in, everybody's getting, the salary cap goes up, say, $10 million in 1 year. Well, Dylan Larkin's money just eats up that $10 million raise. And you have to remember, on an 8-year deal, that means for 5 years after that signing, he's basically a free signing at that point, if you get what I mean. So you may have to pay for it a little bit heavier up front in terms of his contract, but in the back end, it gets a little bit easier, right? So that's kind of how I'm looking at this. I think the Red Wings are in a really good spot here. They will probably re-sign Dylan Larkin because I can't imagine Dylan Larkin playing anywhere else. And you guys got very upset that I even said there could be trade rumors for Larkin. But, again, until he's signed, we really don't know. And with Steve Yzerman being there, does he see Dylan Larkin as the captain of this team? Those are the questions that we don't necessarily have answers to, especially in Steve Yzerman's camp. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you had to choose between these three, 1, he hits free agency in 2023. That's 1. 2, he re-signs, and everybody forgets about it. He signs $10 million, 8-year deal, $80 million contract, $10 million per season. Or do they trade him? And if so, if they do trade him, what would you want in return for Dylan Larkin? So guys, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.